The Indiana Fever, now we all know that they like to run. The Indiana Fever is a fast pace, has a fast paced offense, and that's what they like to do. Especially having Caitlin Clark on the team, and that's her style of play is fast paced and running up and down the court. So that's a strength for the Indiana Fever. Now I will say there are a few people on that roster that will say that does not fit this fast-paced offense. The team that likes to run, there are a few players that does not fit this roster, and they need to be shipped away from the team, which will happen because there will be multiple players on this team that will not be on this team next year. Second of all, another strength with the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever is one of their strengths, and one of their key vital strengths is the pick and roll two-man offense with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are probably, I would say, arguably the most dangerous two-man pick and roll offense out of all NBA teams in the WNBA. Once again, I would have to say that probably, arguably, that Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are the most dangerous two-man pick and roll offense in the entire WNBA. Okay, so the Indiana Fever throughout this season, some games they steered away from the pick and roll offense, which definitely hurt them and affected them, and which gave them some losses under their record. But definitely the pick and roll two man between Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston is definitely just one of the just most dangerous in the entire WNBA. So there's no need to more to say about that. Another strength with the Indiana Fever is their guard play. The Indiana Fever have two high, or you could say top tier guards. When you're talking about Kelsey Mitchell and you're talking about Caitlin Clark. Now they have other guards on the team that I would not consider top tier guards, such as Ty Harris, the rookie Raven Johnson. They're not top tier guards at all. And what is her name? Bree? Is it Bree Hall? They're not top 10. They're not top tier guards. Lexi Hall. I wouldn't. She's not a top tier guard, but she's in that level right below the top tier guards. Okay, and Sophie Cunningham is a forward, so definitely that wouldn't apply to Sophie Cunningham. But pretty much you have guards that are basically two guards that are basically high top tier guards, and then you have another guard such as Lexi Hall that's a pretty decent, definitely good on defense, and she can make it difficult for opposing offenses. So that's a good thing. So those are the strengths that I noticed about the Indiana Fever, which definitely that is a positive for them, and that what makes this team interesting to watch. But now I'm going to be talking about some of the weaknesses. Okay, now some of the weaknesses. Now I'm pretty sure if you guys don't know, these are some of the weaknesses, and I think the most vital key weaknesses is which the Indiana Fever as a team in whole is struggling with. Number one, rebounding. The Indiana Fever, I would say, probably arguably is the worst rebounding team in the league right now, currently in the WNBA. If we're talking about comparing the team stats as far as rebounding, I think the Indiana Fever are definitely in the bottom. They really struggle with rebounds. Like I said, they only have really pretty much one primary, like good, talented in the paint big man, you say, like, and that's Aaliyah Boston. And Aaliyah Boston is only 6'4", so she tends to struggle. She does tend to struggle. I will admit, Aaliyah Boston tends to struggle against other bigs that are actually have a little more height on her. She struggled to get them rebounds, but as far besides Aaliyah Boston, that's pretty much their only source of rebounding, and that's really a real huge problem, which the Indiana Fever should have. The front office should have improved this and worked on this in the off season, which they did it, and that's why a lot of fans and people on YouTube sports media coverage were pretty much we've been going in and upset, like, what are you doing? You guys, one of the main things you guys needed, you did not improve in that. You brung in some people that were not even starters, that were bench players, like a couple of power forwards, but they're not really, really aggressors, or you would say like playmakers as far as you're talking about the big man game. So you can see how it's taking effect. It's not really helping. Another thing, number two, what the Indiana Fever also weakness is defense. The Indiana Fever heavily struggles consistently with maintaining defense, being able to maintain consistent defense. It's been hurting them a lot and affecting them. And I know a lot of people says Caitlin Clark struggles with defense, but she's just not the reason why the defense is bad. That team in general is as far as defense is bad. Okay, not including we were to talk about the play call and everything, but definitely the Indiana Fever and whole their defense is bad. There's too many players on that team that does not understand how to play defense and adapt to the certain systems or the certain plays. When you see an offense, the opposing offense, what oh, what offenses that they're play calling that they're running, the defense is important. A good defense has to be able to adjust to that and be able to, not just get all slapped all over the court. And that's what the problem, another problem with the Indiana Fever, they're struggling heavily on defense. And it's just terrible. It's like a mess out here. And like I said, Caitlin Clark is not the only problem with the defense. That whole team has a problem with defense. I'm just being honest, straight up. Um, Number three, I would say a weakness is the Indiana Fever's lack of ability to effectively maintain momentum. If you guys seen it multiple times when the Indiana Fever are in a game or they're in tight situations or even games where they're leading and have maybe a good 10, 12, 13, 14-point lead, even 17-point lead. I've seen the Indiana Fever uh, lose a 17-point lead to teams, and then some teams that they have no business losing to at all. If you look at that, what was that, the Connecticut Sun game? They lost a huge lead and the game became a tight game, which it should never been tight in the first place. So that's the problem. I think the third issue I have with the that's a very main critical weakness for the Indiana Fever, their inability to consistently maintain momentum. When they have a good lead, they're scoring, they're doing good, come out performing, and they get up in a big, huge lead, then they tend to always not be able to maintain that lead. And it's effective problems because if you guys see, every time when Caitlin Clark leaves the court, this team struggles with maintaining their momentum. And that's not good. It is not good. Okay. Now we're going to talk about, I'm just going to break out two key things before we move on further into this section. We're going to talk about threats and X factors. Threats and X factors. I would say the number one threat with the Indiana Fever right now, if you're talking about threats, a threat is the bench scoring. The bench scoring. Indiana Fever has a huge problem with this and they need to improve it. Their bench scoring is terrible, trash. I would honestly, definitely, undisputably say that the Indiana Fever has the worst bench scoring in the league. All facts. Once again, the Indiana Fever has, I would say, the worst bench scoring in the entire WNBA league. And that is not going to get you a championship, yet alone be a high contending championship team or even making the playoffs. If you have the worst bench scoring in the league, you're not going to be successful. Okay. That's a very huge threat to the Indiana Fever, and they need to improve on and work on and improve their bench scoring.